So I've dealt with chronic shoulder pain for years, and at one point it got so bad that I couldn't even put on a light backpack or turn my steering wheel with one hand, Snoop Dogg style, let alone being able to actually work out and enjoy really any activity that involved my upper body. The first mistake I made when approaching rehab was only focusing on doing the exercises and the activities that I wanted to get back into doing, but just at a lower, less painful level. So, for example, instead of doing regular push-ups, which would hurt my shoulder quite a lot, I would do knee push-ups or elevated push-ups to make them easier. Now, gradually building up exactly what you were doing beforehand can work for a lot of people, but it didn't work for me because in my case, there were areas of my shoulder, ranges of motion, movements that would hurt it, that were weak, damaged, or dysfunctional, which were very hard to target effectively unless I worked on those areas in isolation. So, for example, the pain I experienced overhead didn't get better by simply using less weight when pressing things overhead. It only improved once I took my shoulder overhead into the exact area where it was weak, and then building strength and control in that area using a mix of loading strategies like isometrics and dynamic movements. So instead of spending just a few seconds overhead during an overhead press, the more isolated work would involve 30 to 60 seconds of quality time in the exact spot that I was having trouble with, which I could of course increase or decrease depending on how my shoulder was responding. The second mistake I made was the exact opposite of the first mistake. So last year, maybe around 8 to 12 months ago, when my shoulder was at its most painful, when it was at its worst, I believed I had to fix my shoulder in isolation first before returning back to normal activity. So I would only train the individual motions of the shoulder, which looked a little bit like this. But I never incorporated movements that come naturally to the human body, to the upper body, like horizontal pushing and pulling, as well as vertical pushing and pulling. I was trying to find the one magic isolation exercise that was going to fix it all. And hey, sometimes there is that magic exercise, but in my case, I finally started seeing progress with my shoulder pain when I combined both camps. So when I started targeting specific ranges of motion that were weak or inhibited in isolation, while at the same time slowly progressing doing the exercises or the activities that I was having trouble with, but just doing those at a tolerable level. And this is what made the biggest difference.